Hi, my name's Steve Jackson. I'm the Director of Maintenance and Construction here at Carowinds. Maintenance is real important anytime you're dealing with any kind of machinery, be it a ride, an airplane, a car, anything like that. You've got to maintain your equipment. It's got to be reliable, it's got to be safe, and it needs to work when it's supposed to work for you. So each year we have to take the roller coaster trains off the track, take them back to the shop to do our annual maintenance and rebuild on all of our trains. So the first step in the process is really removing the trains from the track. And the way that we do that is we put all the trains typically go to a storage location, you know, a train house, a storage track of some sort. When the trains are on the storage track, what we do is we're going to take the trains off. Typically it's off the back side, so we take the trains off backwards. So we roll the trains out one car at a time, and then there's a hoist or a winch, or sometimes we have to use a boom truck or a lull, and we lower the train coach one car at a time to the ground, put it on a forklift, and then we haul it back to the shop. And we do that until the complete train is off the track. So once the trains are back in the shop, we divide it out so it's nice, neat, and organized, right? Each train's got its own pallet. We've got containers that we put all the parts and pieces in for each particular train. So then once we get all that organized, then we start disassembly. And it's a very methodical process. So we'll take the bodies off, we'll take the lap bars off, we'll take the brake fins off, we'll take all the wheels and the bearings off. And then what we do is there's NDT requirements, non-destructive testing. So any of those parts and pieces that have to go to the NDT shop, we take those off, we set those to the side, marked to which coach they came off of, and we send them to the NDT shop, which is our welding shop. There are different NDT methods that are used depending on what the piece is. There's mag flux particle testing. It's basically a big electromagnet with a fluid that's got metal particles in it, and anywhere that there's a crack, when you energize the electromagnet across that crack, it creates like a magnet out of that crack, so it pulls the metal flakes to it, and then it shows up under an ultraviolet light. That's pretty cool stuff. There's ultrasonic testing that we do on some pins, and what that does is it sends basically a sound wave or a shock wave through that pin, and any imperfections in it will bounce back. It'll give us an image of it. Think of it as a radar scan, but it's done with sound waves at a very high frequency. We use a little bit of x-ray around here. X-ray is probably the hardest one for us to do because the equipment is a lot bigger, and you have to be a little bit more cautious with it, because just like when you go to the doctor and have an x-ray, they want to cover certain parts up with lead so you don't overexpose people. So anything that we have to x-ray, we usually send out to a different facility and have that done. As long as everything passes the NDT testing, then it comes back to the coach itself, goes back to that space, and then when we're ready to reassemble, all the parts are there. If we have to actually repair something or change something because it didn't pass the NDT inspection, or like on the wheels, we have to change the wheels, the wheel coverings, the bearings in the wheels, depending on how many hours the train actually ran. So we get all that together, we get all those parts and pieces together once everything's disassembled and ready to go back together, and then we reassemble the train, basically opposite the way we took it apart, just like you would anything else. And then we put it back on the track, and then we start our commissioning testing. Another part of our process is when we bring the trains and the coaches into the shop, sometimes they need new paint jobs, sometimes they need a little fiberglass repair, they need a little touch-up. So we take that opportunity while the bodies are off, we send them to the paint and the fiberglass shop. What we do is we basically, like you would repaint a car, we sand down certain areas, we do some fiberglass repair, because most of the chassis are made out of fiberglass. We've got our own fiberglass shop, we've got our own fiberglass techs, we've got our own paint techs. We fix the fiberglass, we sand it down, and then we repaint it. We've got some really talented people now that really care a lot about what they do, and we're turning out some really good products now. The trains, when they come out of the shop, look awesome.